Hi everyone. Well, let me close all my windows down. I seem to have a lot of emails coming through right now, uh, so that's not good for a webinar, right? All right, so I closed all my emails down and everything. So, um, hello everyone. Ilan Aswell here. As you may or may not know, I'm the CEO at Autochartist. I'm one of the original founders. Happy to give today's presentation on using Autochartist and how you can use other indicators with the Autochartist platform. So I have Errol on the line with me, and Errol will be handling a few of the questions that come through, and the ones that he can't handle or wants me to answer, we'll keep until the latter end of this presentation. So it's a bit of a. I was trying to prepare for today's webinar, and I had a bit of trouble preparing for it because there seemed to be quite a lot of movement on the British pound last night, overnight, while I was asleep, and so the markets are looking a little bit choppy this morning. So let's see how well we do. So I'm sure you all can see my screen. You see the Autochartist platform in front of you right now. I have created my own custom group called Forex Majors. You know, depending on the broker that you use, you get different, different default searches for patterns and support resistance levels. I have created my own one called Forex Majors, which contains these instruments: Euro, Japanese yen, pound, Canadian, Swiss franc, GBP, JPY, all the crosses against the pound and all the crosses against the euro. So that's a search that I have. I called it Forex Majors. So this is a search I've got, and this is a search that I got this morning in terms of identified support and resistance levels. So just a few basics which will come into play with regards to what I'm saying today about additional indicators. When using additional indicators, you need to be aware of using an indicator that is appropriate to the opportunity that you're looking for. Okay, so if you look at the solid red arrows or green arrows here, right, these are what we call completed or breakout patterns, right? Completed or breakout patterns mean that the price has actually broken through a support or resistance level. Okay, now if you think about that from a chart pattern theory perspective, what that means is that we believe there's going to be either a change in the trend, right, or a continuation in the trend in the direction of the breakout. So you can see quite clearly, you know, in this example here that there was a consolidation in Euro Swiss franc, although not very clearly. It just seems to be like the price had a big move and then consolidated. Let's find a different example. GBP JPY. This is quite an interesting one. So you can see there has been there was a breakout through a support level, right, at around 193.20, and Autochartist forecast a price movement towards 192.52. So that's the breakout over there, right? Let's compare that to a pattern that does not have a breakout. So here, for example, is Euro Swiss franc. As you can see, this is a long-term pattern. This is on daily candles. You can see that the price has not yet broken through support or resistance lines. Okay, this is what we call an emerging or approaching pattern. Okay, so the reason why I'm highlighting this is very important. It's because when you're trading trending patterns, right, like the completed patterns, then you have to use trending indicators. If you're trading emerging patterns, these patterns that are trading between the lines, then what you've got to do is you've got to use stochastic or oscillators, right? Sorry, not stochastic, but that's one example of an oscillator type of an indicator along with Autochartist, right? So so you've got to use something that is appropriate to the to the opportunity you're looking at, right? So if, for example, we'll look at this example right here, Euro Swiss franc a daily candle. So let's open up on our MetaTrader Euro Swiss franc daily candles. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Oh, here's that big overnight. Oh, no, that was when we decoupled. That wasn't overnight. These are daily candles. We'll just wait for the data to come through. Let's give it a moment. I'm not quite sure why I'm not getting the Autochartist information. It's not really ticking that much. That's probably why. I'm sure the Autochartist lines will come through in just a second. Okay, there they are. Okay, so as you can see, this is exactly the same pattern that we got on our Autochartist web application we've got over here, right? Now, you can quite clearly see that when you add a something like a moving average onto this graph, you can see that the moving average is kind of moving sideways, okay, which is to be expected, because we can see quite clearly from the graph that the moving average would be moving sideways, right? So you know, a moving average indicator for this kind of opportunity means very, very little, because these types of emerging patterns mostly happen in what we call consolidating markets, right? So this is not a market that's moving up, it's not a market that's moving down, right? This is just a market here, well, this symbol, specifically Euro Swiss franc, is just moving sideways, okay? So you can't expect to move it, you can't expect to use a trending indicator like a moving average for an opportunity like this, because you kind of know it's gonna tell you nothing, okay? So what we can do is use maybe a different type of indicator, right? So for example, what we can use is a relative strength index. Okay. Now a relative strength index might help us to understand if the price has moved up a lot or down a lot, and it's time for it to move up, because that's what an oscillator does, right? And an RSI tells you, oh, it's moved up too much or it's moved down too much. And the idea behind an oscillator like an RSI is you would sell if it's above, 70, and buy when it's below 30. Obviously, it would be really silly just to look at an oscillator on its own. So this is actually the interesting thing about using indicators. Is that many of you know, many of you who are familiar with trading or have slightly more experience with trading, you will know that you can kind of choose your number, right, with an indicator, and you'll get a value, or you'll get the result you want. But certainly, I mean, I just changed my relative strength indicator from a 35 period RSI to a 14 period RSI, and still the indicator says it's not overbought or oversold, right? It's kind of dead bang in the middle. The moving average is saying like this thing is just moving sideways. So is this an opportunity that you wanna take? Well, according to your other indicators, there's no supporting indicators on Autochartist telling you that the thing is moving up or down, right? So in this situation, using an additional indicator with Autochartist is it's pretty useless, right? So if you had to put my back against the wall and say, Ilan, would you take a position on this opportunity as you have it right now? I would revert back to chart patterns. I would remove my indicators. They're just cluttering up my my view on things. And I would say that for me, the interesting thing to look at right here is the support and resistance level. So if I'm ignoring this chart pattern that we identified, and actually look at the very, very distinctive support and resistance levels happening around this instrument, we might be able to get an understanding of whether we should take a position on it or not, right? So Autochartist has identified a resistance level at at around this price over here, 10.55.6. It's a computer, right? It takes the highest point, so I might look at a resistance levels around 10.525. Certainly a support level at 103.16, and you can see it quite clearly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this for you here, is that you can see quite clearly, especially this, I want to focus on the support level, how this price has touched the support level numerous occasions here. This is actually an interesting one where there's been a major breakthrough the support level and then a consolidation again at that support level, right? So this certainly for me is a very, very interesting level. Like I see something like this and I think, wow, now this is quite a strong supporting indicator to this pattern, right? So I may very well decide to take a very short-term, well, it's actually not a short-term, right? This is actually a daily. This is a daily graph. So I may decide to take a short-term opportunity down to 103.16. As a potential trade right now. So Jim is asking, are we waiting for the pattern to complete before doing anything, or watching an emerging pattern also? Okay, so Jim, this is a great question. So it really all depends on your risk appetite, right? So if you're looking at a long-term pattern like this, this is a Euro-Swiss franc pattern based on daily candles, right? You can see very clearly that the price right now is 104.04 approximately, and the forecast is down to 103.16. There is plenty of money to be made over here, right? Of course, there's plenty of money to lose as well. Okay, I added that sentence for my lawyers so that they don't have a heart attack. But there's plenty of money to be made, right? So if you're looking at an emerging opportunity like this, you may very well decide to trade it and not wait for the breakout to happen. If we're looking at other examples, let's just say, oh, let me erase all those drawing objects. If let's look at a very short-term opportunity. Here's an emerging opportunity. You can see it's emerging by the gray arrow. Emerging opportunity on GBP CAD, right? There isn't that much room. This is 217 down to whatever that is. So it's like 10, 20 points. Not that much opportunity to move there, right? So an emerging opportunity such as this, you might want to reconsider unless you really have a lot of guts and looking for that glory. A short-term emerging opportunity might not be for you if you are risk averse. If you are into taking risks and you are what we call a swing trader, and this is certainly something you would look at. But for me, I'm not sure about the rest of you. I do trade mostly algorithmically, but unless you've got your trading screen open all the time, if you don't do anything else for a living, you might want to consider looking at this opportunity. Otherwise, you might want to stay away for something like this. But certainly, if you're looking at the longer-term opportunities such as this here, that is certainly something I would definitely consider trading, because you've got a day or two until it hits that level. Okay, so getting back to this example over here. So this example I've showed you, I wouldn't use a moving average or a trending indicator. Excuse me, I'm just clearing my throat. I wouldn't use a moving average or an RSI. It doesn't really add anything to this opportunity, but certainly looking at the support and resistance levels, there's certainly something there as a supporting indicator. So now let's look at this example over here, which is a US dollar Swiss franc opportunity. Autochartist identified it as an inverse head and shoulders. I disagree with Autochartist slightly. I think it identified it as an inverse head and shoulders because of this little, what it found to be a head, right? Remember, Autochartist is a computer, right? So sometimes it doesn't see things the way a human being sees things. It does pretty well, but you know, it's not quite there. So I wouldn't call this an inverse head and shoulders, but certainly this is a very interesting pattern. I would call it more like a rectangle, or a, you know, a double bottom, or a triple bottom. Let's look at this opportunity on US dollar Swiss franc on our MetaTrader. This is a 4-hourly pattern. So here it is. You can see it on MetaTrader. We've drawn it quite nicely over here on MetaTrader. So this is now quite an interesting pattern. Well, actually, it's interesting for different reasons. Firstly, I think I find it interesting because I love trading stuff which is horizontal, what I call horizontal patterns. If you want to know what horizontal patterns are, you would just go into your search screen. If you click on the advanced search section and go to the very bottom, there's actually a little toggle box here that says horizontal patterns. And that actually shows you what the horizontal patterns are. Those are patterns that are made up of at least one horizontal level. And if you go into the performance statistics of Autochartist, you will very quickly see why I love horizontal levels. I feel that the market digests them a lot better, and they're more indicative of future performance. And you'll notice that very quickly on our past performance, on our statistics page. But certainly I like levels that are horizontal. And so I look at something like this and I think, well, this is a quite an interesting opportunity for me. I may decide personally to readjust these levels that Autochartist identified. You know, I might look at something like this as a level. Autochartist, interestingly enough, I don't know if you can see this green line on the left-hand side. That's a level that Autochartist identified before, a resistance level. And again, we can see quite a lot of consolidation around this level over here, right? So an interesting level that Autochartist identified there as resistance. Now let's actually get back to topic for this webinar. Let's actually add in a moving average indicator. Okay, so now I've added in a moving average indicator. So I look at this indicator and I'm seeing a few things. Firstly, the fact that the moving average indicator over kind of the longer term is definitely trending up. It seemed to have consolidated a bit, but with a slightly bullish trend. And now, certainly with this latest breakout, there has been, you know, the indicator is moving certainly quite strongly upwards. It's kind of, if you look at a clock face, it's probably facing kind of like the 2 o'clock angle. Now, this for me is quite interesting. Now, the other reason I actually found it quite interesting is because we did a study a while back, a number of years back, that showed that if you add in a moving average of about 35 candles in length to an Autochartist indicator, and it's moving in the same direction as the breakout, we increase the probability of hitting the target region by about 10%. So in some cases, that's like from a 70% probability up to an 80% probability. So let's just see our target forecast for this opportunity here: 0.9611. Let's see where there is 0.9611, somewhere around here. Okay, so we see Autochartist thinks it's getting to that level. This is a 4-hourly candle movement. We see the moving average moving in that direction. We have a corresponding indicator. Certainly, this is something, a pattern that I would certainly consider trading this morning for myself, or your afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is, you know, I find quite interesting. Now, I want to show you the converse of something like this. Now, remember before, for an emerging pattern, we added an RSI. I want to show you what that looks like over here. A relative strength index. Here's an RSI. Okay, so now I've added an RSI indicator in, and the moving average is telling us the moving average is a trending indicator, and the moving average is saying it's going bullish, right? The RSI is an oscillator indicator, and the RSI now is telling us this is getting close to 70 to 70. Mike, it's a simple moving average. Yeah, it's a simple moving average, not an exponential. I guess you could use an exponential if you like. I use simple. But now back to topic. If you look at the RSI is sitting very, very close to 70. So now I know what your next question is going to be. Your next question is going to be, Ilan, your moving average is telling you it's correlating with your breakout. It's telling you to go long on US dollar Swiss franc, but your RSI is telling you to go short, right? You know, it's very, very close to 70. So now what am I going to do? What am I going to do here? So this is well, let me give you some pointers. Firstly, this is the issue with using traditional arithmetic indicators like moving averages and RSIs. You can choose the period and you can get the answer that you want to get, right? So, and the second thing is that they are always going to be conflicting. If you're using an oscillator, it's always going to tell you that it's time for the thing to pull back, when a trending indicator is going to tell you, wow, this trend is very strong, right? So they're always going to be conflicting, right? So this is what I guess I want to highlight during this webinar, is that you need to use the indicator that is most appropriate to the opportunity you're looking at, right? So if you're looking at an Autochartist opportunity based on a breakout pattern, right, which is a trending pattern, right, then it wouldn't be correct to use an RSI to look for a complete reversal, right? You need to look at the moving average so that you can play the trend. However, I must tell you that I look at something like this movement in US dollar Swiss franc, and I see that this movement over here, let me highlight it with a pen. Oops, let me highlight with pen. This movement over here, right, that's happened, is quite big, right? If I look at other movements, yes, there have been movements of this size in the past, okay, but they've always been followed by pullbacks, right? But if I look at this example, there's been a movement here, and then a pullback, and then another movement long, and a pullback, and another movement long, and a pullback, and then another movement long, right? So what we're seeing, and oh, here's the latest one, a movement of the same size, a pullback, and then a movement, right? And now, so now, maybe we're looking at this and saying, are we expecting a pullback now? And I would say, actually, you know, very, very true. There might be a pullback, but certainly, I would tend towards taking a long-term view on US dollar Swiss franc. If you're expecting a pullback based on your RSI, then you might want to wait a few candles. We can, in fact, if we zoom in a little bit, let me erase those drawings. If we zoom in a little bit, we can already see that there's been a pullback. Two candles have gone a little bit short over the last 8 hours. There's been a slight pullback, right? We might expect maybe 1 or 2 more pullback candles, and then a bullish trend again. So you might want to set some type of limit order down at around 0.9513 to go long, or you can just go long now and actually ride out the wave, right? All really depends on how much, you know, how deeper pockets you have, you know, to play something like this. But certainly, from our analytical approach, you know, when there is kind of, well, I'm a very stats-oriented person. When there is a breakout pattern and you have a moving average moving in the same direction, certainly the numbers are skewed in your favor, that the trend will continue. Now, Jim has asked whether we should use a stochastic instead of an RSI. So, Jim, let's actually remove this RSI and actually add a stochastic in there. to see what that looks like. I'm actually not even sure which we should invest in. Okay, what period we should look at. Certainly, the stochastic is telling us to, that this thing is gonna turn around, right? There's actually no doubt about what the stochastic is saying to us, which is absolutely fine. Again, if you choose your period, whatever it is. Certainly then also still telling us that it's going to turn around. So Jim, it's pretty much telling us almost the same thing that the RSI is telling us. This is obviously more, the stochastic is obviously more oscillatory than the RSI, but certainly saying the same thing. So you might look at this opportunity and say, I'm expecting a short-term reversal in the bullish trend, and then based on the Autochartist breakout of this resistance level, potentially a strong movement up to the forecast level. Okay. Let me choose one or two more examples because I'm running out of time. Okay, this is an interesting one, USDJPY. Let's have a look at this USDJPY opportunity. USDJPY, let me just find that on my MetaTrader. This is a daily pattern on USDJPY. Let's just give Autochartist a moment to download that. Okay, so let's draw the Autochartist forecast level on USDJPY. It thinks it's going to 124.74. So where is 124.74? Okay, so 124.74. That's approx. Oh, sorry, that was 124.76. Sorry, that was bad drawing from me. Oh, it's difficult to get the exact level. Okay, somewhere around there. Okay, so now the question is, do I trade this? Let's add a moving average indicator in here. Oops, wrong button. Aha, now this is where life gets really interesting. Okay, so we have a breakout pattern and the moving average is completely in the other direction of the pattern, right? So yet we can see how strong this trend is, right? So now this is where the big debate comes in, right? Clearly this is a channel down. It has been I apologize everyone. My antivirus is kicked in. Apologize everybody, I'm not sure what my antivirus is doing. Sorry, just my antivirus kicked in. I hope I hope that didn't disturb your screens. I'm not quite sure what you saw there, but okay, so sorry about that. So we can see the strong indicator over here, right? Now strong breakout, very, very strong breakout. That's one of the primary things that I look at. Very strong initial trend, another thing that I look at. So now for me the question is, do you trade this or not? Because this is a channel down. That means that US dollar Japanese yen has been trading in a downward channel for quite a number of days, right? This is in fact for over a month it's been trading downwards, all right? And now suddenly there's been a breakout in the upward direction, but the moving average is saying no. The moving average is saying no, it's going in the wrong direction. So this is really where things kind of break down using Autochartist with other indicators, right? What do you do in this situation, right? If you're looking at adding let's go with Jim's example. Jim, if you want to add in a stochastic over here, yeah, a stochastic. Stochastic is also saying, it's gone up too much. We think it's going short again. Okay, so what do? What we do is we stay away from this trade. If you're unsure about what to do, you stay away. Okay? There are a ton more indicators, a ton more opportunities in the market that will that are available to you. There is no need to force a trade. Okay? If you want to trade on something other than Autochartist, that's great. Your moving average is sloping downwards. Your stochastic is telling you it's overbought. Maybe you should just go short on this pattern, right? Which is against what Autochartist is saying, but that's fine as long as you justify to yourself why you've made that trade. Okay? But just because Autochartist says that it thinks US dollar Japanese yen is going up doesn't mean you need to follow blindly, right? You need to look at all the indications. If you don't like it, if you are unsure, you just let it go and move on, right? You let it go and move on. There are so many opportunities in the market. You don't need to force a specific opportunity. So what I've done now is I've switched my screen to what we call the Our Favorites section. Our Favorites is what Autochartist believes to be the highest probability opportunities available on the market right now, based on past performance. Again, past performance might not be an indication of future performance, but based on the last 6 months of performance, these are the trading opportunities that are most likely to hit the target region as we're looking at them right now. If you're looking for a way to start trading, right? You don't want to go through millions of opportunities on the trade opportunity section. This section here, this Our Favorites opportunities, is the one that you need to start off with, right? That's the one that I would go to as the first step to find your most likely opportunities, right? So start off there. These are also the opportunities that you get on your mobile, on the Autochartist mobile application. If you don't have that, go ahead and download it. Just go to the Android store or the Apple store or whatever it's called, and iTunes or whatever it is, and just look for Autochartist and download that, and then you'll get alerted when these kind of high probability opportunities come up. So this is your first port of call, and I almost guarantee you that you'll be able to find some good trades over there. If you don't find anything there, then move on to your trading opportunities screen, and try find trading opportunities on the trading opportunities screen that you like. With that, I kind of want to finish off, but I've seen one or two questions coming through. So another question from Mike. Mike is asking, would you consider adding the 35 period MA on the favorites chart so we do not have to add it to another chart? Mike, that's an interesting suggestion. Thank you for that. That's quite insightful, actually. Let me take it up with some of our customers and see if they'll allow us to do it. As you know, our customers are our brokers. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to compete with existing charting solutions that they have. But certainly, I'll take it up with a few because I think that would actually help a lot. Certainly, to help the end users, the traders, quite a bit. So one last question from Jim. Jim is asking, on the screen, what should we look for? Jim, which screen is that you're talking about? The trading opportunities that I'm on now, or the Our Favorites section that I was on before? If you could just clarify your question, that would really help me answer it. Trading opportunities. Okay, the trading opportunities. Okay, so firstly, Jim, the first thing you got to do is you got to figure out who you are as a trader. If you are not a swing trader, if you're risk averse and you're a trend follower, first thing you got to do is you got to uncheck the emerging and approaching patterns. That's the first thing you got to do, right? Let me actually go to Forex Majors. That's the one I was on earlier. Right? So firstly, uncheck the emerging patterns. Okay. Then only look at the completed, and that will narrow your search criteria quite a lot. Second thing you got to do is you got to decide whether you are a kind of guy that can sit and watch his trades the entire day. If you are, and that's great, then you can look at the 15-minute opportunities, right, or the 30-minute opportunities. However, if you're not that kind of person, if you're not the kind of guy that can sit and watch your trades the entire day, Then what you need to do is look at your longer term opportunities, the 4-hour and the daily opportunities. Those are the ones you need to focus on. Okay, and then so I'm kind of helping you narrow down the selections here, right? Once you're looking at those, you'll find one later, or you'll find one tomorrow. Really, don't just rush headlong into a trade just because you're desperate to trade today. Wait for the trades to come to you. Don't go out looking for the trades. So Mike has asked one last question. That's the last one I'll take, everybody. If I don't get to you, please just email support@autochartist.com, and we'll be happy to help you how we can. Okay, so US equity scan. Okay, Mike. All right, I can tell you right now that my knowledge, and I've always said my knowledge of US equities is very minimal. I actually come from Johannesburg, and I used to trade Johannesburg Stock Exchange quite a lot. So I did trade Autochartist quite a bit there, and actually on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, I found that I traded a lot of breakout patterns, right? I didn't trade emerging. I found the spreads to be quite large and the cost of trading to be quite large for me to trade emerging patterns. That is not the truth in the US markets. The US market trading is quite affordable, and I think you can trade emerging, but I would rather not comment on a subject matter that I don't know about, Mike. So I really apologize. I'm not an expert, but it actually makes me think about maybe getting in an external, a third-party trading expert that uses Autochartist on US stock markets and get them to talk to our audience. I'll actually take that up with Errol and Yvette and see if we can arrange something like that. So another question, Jivan is asking, how important are uniformity and clarity bars in the data window? Okay, so Jivan, this is a great question. I must tell you the truth. The truth is that I completely ignore uniformity and clarity. I only personally look at initial trend and the breakout strength. For me, I find that those two are the most important indicators of the visual quality of a pattern. So the breakout strength also goes hand in hand with you know, for example, when you add a moving average, if there's a strong breakout, what you find is that the moving average tends to be also skewed by the strength of the breakout. So that is, for me, very important. Now, uniformity and clarity, you'll even find from a performance statistics perspective. If you click on our performance stats section, and you find, you know, whatever you're looking at, chart patterns, then you'll find that the performance stats, even the the clarity and the uniformity don't really add much to the past performance, and certainly don't have an influence over the future performance. Jim, the breakout strength is on the, I'll show you where the breakout strength is. If we enable our breakout, our complete patterns, you will see breakout strength over here. The little purple, purple dots are the breakout strength. Those are for me the most, I would say that and initial trend are the most important indicators for me of the potential of the opportunity. Okay, so with that, I'll let all of you go. I'm already at 10 minutes over my allocated schedule, allocated time, sorry. So I hope you've enjoyed today's presentation. It was quite an in-depth, a technical conversation. If any of you are new to Autochartist, you might think about listening to some of our videos or other webinars we have on YouTube, which are more kind of around the topic of getting started with Autochartist. But today certainly was for a more experienced audience. But I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if there's any questions that I didn't get to, I did see a few scroll by. If there's anything I didn't get to, please email support@autochartist.com. We'll be happy to assist you in any way we can. Good luck in these volatile times. Watch out for the euro and the Swiss franc and everything that's going on with Greece. Just remember, please set stop losses. It's okay if you make a loss, just set a stop loss. Don't lose your shirts on the market. Okay, good everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks, Ilan.